Hi, America. Welcome to Angel.
Welcome to Angel and the Wiz.
Wiz. Very good. Last week, when you was being, severe with me about education,
not being severe.
you were very good.
I was being very polite.
You were very polite.
And very firm.
Okay. And
trying really hard not to be judgmental.
Okay, well, and that's important to do. But what I wanted to throw at you was, I was going to say, when we talk about the Democrats, when we talk about the Republicans, and let's say, and the Democrats had this, and we're not going to stay on this, I just want, there's a little footnote to the conversation. What I was going to ask you to do, see, I was ready for you to beat me up, and I was going to say, now, do me a favor. Let's start from a different premise. Let's start from the premise that the Republicans don't hate every child, that they, want the kids to do well, that they want the taxpayers to also be treated fairly, and now let's look at what they've done through those eyes. Because I don't think they hate the kids, and I don't think...
Oh, no, I never said that they hated the kids.
No, I know, but I was prepared because I thought...
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay, so in other words, I think that we came to a much better conclusion than because I thought we were going to be talking more about Republicans, Democrats, and back and forth. And the fact of the matter is, we did a Sarah Palin, we went above it, okay, and we talked about the fact that politics should not be involved in those things.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Didn't we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay, and unfortunately it is.
And I think that we educated the American public about
we do try a little bit, huh?
Law that was the No Child Left Behind law, which is actually in the news.
Right.
As we're taping it, it's been in the news with the educators because they want
But I guarantee
it to be revoked.
Nobody at home knew about that 100%.
No.
I'm sure that, see, and that's the problem. And that's why we have a complicit media that does not do its job. America is hurt by the media that's out there now because they do not do their job. They do not inform the people. They are into sound bites and news clips and what looks good on TV. And the sad thing about it is, everybody I'm going to tell you something, everybody in TV knows bad news is easier to shoot. So that's why we get that. And we're not informed, and nobody, and then what happens is, unfortunately, we have a very liberal media, and they don't come forward and tell us things unless it's something that's in their agenda to want to accomplish. Anyway, so I don't want to get in that, but we told them things about
that
No Child Left Behind they did not know.
Yes.
Okay?
Because if you didn't know it, then they didn't know it.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. Okay, so listen. I wrote down some topics from the great book of topics. I couldn't, because I can't, I need glasses because I write small in the book. But these are things that we can cover.
You have a book of topics?
Yeah, I have a book of topics.
Okay.
I write topics now. You don't just, do you think I don't come prepared to these sessions with you, my most esteemed colleague? I want to come to you. I want to be ready.
I don't. I did today, though. Or
you had a book last week.
Last week I had it.
So look at, these are things we can touch on in our 28 minutes. And if we don't get to them all, it's okay. Parenting and the role that it plays, not in education alone, in everything. You and I, we both work in a field.
Who says it's okay for you to let your child run around a restaurant that's got a buffet screaming, holding food?
And why
Where
do they
is
let
their parent?
Right. Where is their parent? Why? And why?
They're taking pictures. They think it's cute. It is not cute. It's not safe.
And sometimes they laugh.
Just had to let you know.
And sometimes they laugh. And they think that it's funny.
It's not funny.
And listen, I'm going to tell you something. If your parents that are watching the show, you should leave the room and leave the kids here. Because the bottom line is, too much of what's wrong can be traced back to you guys. And I'm not... I'm on your side, you see, because I'm one of those people that always said, hey, it's easy to have kids, but there's no manual of operations. And we've got wrapped up in the fun part of having them without, you see, there's no control.
That is fun.
You can go out and you can have kids, but you can't, but there's no follow-up. There's no requirements that you raise them properly.
Nothing.
And we have such an abandonment of responsibility in the parents' area And this is just one of the things I wanted to touch on, because I'll go down the list. But this is a real problem, and I don't know what we're doing about it. And I got to tell you, Princess, I don't think we're doing anything about it. I think people are still going out and they're having kids, and great. Now I have a kid. Now what?
I think you need to pass an IQ test. You have to have a high school diploma or a GED equivalent,
right,
and you have to pass an IQ test. And if you're not above a certain level, you can't reproduce.
Well, you know.
And even some of those people are not doing a good job.
Well, and I don't know so much if it's an IQ test or is where we need manuals. We need something to educate parents. You know, it's like when you get the child, you should get a book on how to raise them. Okay? Because I want...
Congratulations! You have a baby girl, and there's their instruction manual.
Right? Yes! You laugh. But these kids, the country, the world would be better off if they came with an instruction manual. There's a guy, Dr. Vincent Fontana. He runs a New York family home. And he was on my show 30 years ago. And he was very concerned about the cycle of abuse. You know, that abuse. Yes. And I got frustrated on the show because I was very young, and I, said, well, we should do something. We shouldn't allow these parents to do these things. And I was missing his point. His point was they only do what they have learned.
Yeah.
And around. Okay, so that's like
I've had, and I will say this, that I've had very good parents. I've done my fair share of stupidity.
Right.
But in the end, I'm very grateful for how my parents raised me.
Right.
And I see what the children today and how their parents are. And I know that before we walked into any restaurant, my dad gave us the talk. He turned around in the back seat, and that man, he's got special powers. He could enunciate full words and not move his jaw or lips. It was, and you could see his jaw clench,
right,
and he would say, "You will be on your best behavior,"
right,
in that
right,
deep, low voice, and
right,
nothing moved.
Right.
He was better than the ventriloquist. Nothing
right,
moved. Face, and we'd just be like, "Okay."
Right. Yeah, but see, that doesn't happen.
That doesn't
Too often
happen.
now,
No,
the kids just go running in.
There's no conversation. I actually challenged my students a couple years ago. I said, we were talking about parents, and I said, how many of you eat a family dinner?
Oh.
And nobody raised their hand.
And
I said, how many of you go out to eat at a restaurant with your family? And they said, and how often? Maybe once a week, probably once every other week. And
right,
I said, I challenge you guys in the next 2 or 3 days
right,
to sit down with your entire family at the dinner table
now,
and talk. No TV, no video games,
right,
no DVD players, because
right,
that's the other thing that annoys me is when I'm in a restaurant and
right,
I look over and the sound I'm hearing is because the kid's got the movie playing at the table. That's
and
frustrating. I understand why you do it, because you don't want to deal with your child.
Right.
Then you're not a good parent and you shouldn't be taking them out in the restaurant.
And let me just underscore something that's happening around the country. And the parents, pardon me, because it's convenient, have failed to realize your kids are eating lunch at school. Some of them eat breakfast at school. You fail to realize what's happening. The state is coming between you and your children.
What?
And you hear me out. The kids are now not participating. The parents are not participating in those meals. Just like they're not sitting down at dinner. Well, maybe they didn't sit down at lunch, but the parents aren't even involved. And what's happening is the state is taking.
I ate school lunch, and the state didn't get involved in.
I ate school lunch too, but I eat dinner at home.
Yes, that's the thing. I think it's parents aren't.
But they're starting to talk about that, Princess. They're starting to talk about feeding them all 3 meals, and what that does is destroy the family.
It destroys the family. But do you know why we have to feed them all 3 meals?
Why?
Because the parents aren't home to do it. Because in today's tough economic times, we got single family homes with 100 people living in them, and there's parents that have 2, 3, or 4 jobs. Now, am I saying that that's correct? No.
And I'm saying that they're doing it for stuff.
I'm not.
And they're going to have to decide which stuff is more important.
Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are.
Too often they are.
Too often they are.
That's my opinion.
But in other times, in other cases, and I've seen it firsthand,
right,
there are kids that the only meal they'll get to eat is at school lunch.
Well, I would share with you that,
and maybe it's more, and I see it more because I do teach at a socially economic disadvantaged school.
Okay.
70 or 69% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch, which means that their family income, combined income of all adults in the household, is under a certain
I would rather
benchmark?
see the kids get the food to eat at home. Now, I know that's not practical.
You're
That
right.
would be far. That would serve them better than to eat away from their parents at school. Pardon me. sorry. I didn't have enough soda today. So what I'm seeing is, what's happening is that the family unit is breaking down. And I want to say something about these hard economic times. But wait.
Wouldn't you say that then the invention of fast food
Right.
was the start of this? Because now parents aren't sitting down to the dinner table, they're going through the drive-through. So it's
If they're together, it doesn't matter where they eat. It matters that they're together. What's happening is they're not going through. They're together. The kids are going together, and the parents are, that kind of thing. And I want to say the other thing about the claim, and I realize it's true, because I'm living in hard economic times, just like everybody else. But the fact of the matter was, our parents had problems too.
Right.
They had to go without stuff too. But you know what? They saw the value of the unit, the family unit. We ate dinner because that's what you did.
So
we ate dinner together. And that comes.
So at what generation did the family unit become devalued?
I don't know if I could put my hand on.
Because I will tell you this, my parents were married in 1977.
Right.
And we still valued those family meals.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that my generation,
right.
and that was pretty common where the students I went to school with, maybe it was because we were middle class, we had dinner at home. So our generation had that parental influence.
Well,
was it the generation after us?
Maybe, and then
after my parents, after the baby boomers?
Maybe so, because what was creeping in more and more and more by then was all the media. All the TV shows.
But you say the media, but you also gave that example of it being a cycle.
Right.
So wouldn't that generation only be able to learn from what their parents saw? And wasn't that the generation
I don't know, because
that was in the
how
Vietnam and Korean War?
So
they were single-family homes?
There's always been
single parents. Do you know what I mean?
There's always been single-parent homes. But what I'm, excuse me, one of the things that I think has added to that more, and we talk about unintended consequences, was the growth of welfare and government support. In the old days,
it's interesting that you keep going back to the government.
Well, because the government's the crux of the problem. Because there's too much of it. Listen, when the immigrants.
This is the Republican side now.
Okay, she told me not to wear my Republican hat. But the fact of the matter is, when the immigrants came here, they did not get to college. Maybe their kids got to college.
Right,
maybe their grandkids got to college. But they did not.
But neither did most of the United States either.
No.
They went to work. It
Right.
was an elite thing.
But now we got into the age of government where we wanted everybody to have everything right now. Okay, so we started pumping in money.
But I don't think that was a government thing. I think that's the media.
No, that's the government came in with welfare, broke up the black family by giving them money. The more kids you had, the more money you got. They didn't need a husband anymore. In other words, what happened was the unintended consequences. If you give people stuff, they lose two things. They lose the desire to get it on their own, or the need to get it on their own, which means that they don't turn to people that they know in their community because the government will do it. The second the government stepped in, we didn't need friends. We didn't need family. We didn't need relationships because Uncle Sam is going to give us the money. Then the other thing that robs from people is their innate desire to do something themselves. The immigrants that invented all of those wonderful things, they did it because somebody wasn't here. This is yours. You take this. You go now. Come back when you need it again. No. That wasn't there. They had to figure it out for themselves. And now now it's like you're born, you're going to go to college for free. No.
So welfare is an issue.
Well, we fixed it. No, government handouts are an issue because what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise everybody up at once, and it don't happen. What we've done is we've created a society that depends on the government. And those people that are the government, they love that. Do you know that 50% of this country gets food stamps?